Jeff. Hello, audience.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Deb.
All right. My name is Deborah Odom. I go by Debbie. I was born and raised in Gainesville. I'm a fifth generation Florida pioneer. My family owned a farm and we had multi-family. So since I was a child, I grew up around tools and fixing things. See, I moved to Florida. I had to start from scratch. So from scratch in 2006. I've been doing home inspections in Florida. If you can study and take a test, you can get your license as a Florida home inspector. And I believe the last time I checked, there are 16,000 home inspectors in Florida. And that's like being a real estate agent. You know, there's a realtor, real estate agent. So there are 18,000 agents who are not part of a realtors or whatever. In Connecticut, I had to find a person that had done over 500 inspections and had been in business at least 2 years. And they had to teach me, and I had to do 100 inspections for that person. And I had to pay him $50 every time I went on inspection. So it was an internship. So by the time I got my license, I really knew what I was doing. And in Florida, you literally, if you can study and take a test and never pick up a tool in your life, you have a home inspection license.
Well, then what's the name of your inspection company? I know it, but they don't.
I'm sorry, it's Sunbird Home Inspections. Because when I moved down here, I was going to be down here 9 months and up there 3 months. So I wasn't a snowbird, I was a sunbird.
Hey, that's clever. I like that. I like that. Okay, now let's go into the questions. Are you ready?
Oh, but before let me turn this thing off. So I belong to 2 associations, which is really important. Just like you want someone to hire a realtor, not a real estate agent. I belong to FABI, which is the Florida Association of Building Inspectors, and they train us specific to things in Florida. Florida has completely different rules than all other states in the nation, just totally different. And then I belong to International, which is a National Association of Certified Home Inspectors. And they also, both of them have higher, higher requirements than just the Florida standards.
Oh, good. So obviously, when you hire Debbie, which you will hire Debbie, then you're getting somebody who knows what they're doing, right?
Yes, women are detailed.
Women are detailed. You know what? That's very true. Very true. I just got finished receiving a 4-point inspection on one of the properties where you were the inspector. And by the way, the inspector was hired by the buyer's agent and I was the listing agent. So they were smart enough to use Debbie too. So that was good. But they did a 4-point inspection. And I think it's important that Debbie tells us what that is. What's a 4-point inspection?
Well, most people think of a home inspection as a home inspection. So a 4-point kind of covers, a 4 points like 2/3 of a home inspection. So in a 4-point, it covers the expenses item in the home, which comes to repairs or replacement. It covers what most insurance claims items as well, things that you're going to call. Most lenders like a 4-point because it's ensure that no major expense is going to happen to you once you move in, so you won't be defaulting your payments. So a 4-point includes 4 things: your roof, the heating and cooling, the electrical, and the plumbing. So it involves more photos, it involves more investigation into the brand, the age, and the condition. It does not cover the irrigation system, the windows and doors, ability to open, the smoke detectors, appliances, vinyl and stucco defect, outside lighting, whether they work or not. But I still check for the GFI, but I don't care if the light goes on or not, but they're GFI. It doesn't include pools, patios, and lanais.
Okay, so here, if somebody wants a full inspection, would they get a regular inspection plus a 4-point? Is that how everything gets covered?
Well, there's some things in the 4-point that are not covered in a home inspection, like what type of piping you have. Is it 2-inch? Is it 4-inch? Is it gray? Is it PC? So they want that a little bit more in a 4-point. In a full inspection, I'm going to run all the appliances. So I'm going to run the dishwasher. I don't care whether it runs dishes. I want to see if it leaks. I'm looking for a leak. That's the only reason why I run the dishwasher. I'm going to run the wash machine. I'm looking for leaks. I'm not for the piping. I'm not seeing if it does a good job. I'm going to check the doors because I'm going to shut the door. I'm going to push on it because that's a fire safety hazard. In case there's a fire in the house, you want to make sure you can shut your bedroom door, go all the way to the corner, and the heat's not going to push that door open. So that's what's going to do in a home inspection. That's not going to be in a 4-point. I'm going to run. So in a full inspection, I'm still going to walk on the roof. I'm going to look at the roof penetrations, see if the dryer vent got dry. I'll pull out and see if there's lint in the dryer, if it's on the roof. I'm going to run the irrigation system. I will make sure water is coming out the top and not in the bottom. And I'm also checking to make sure there's no brown spots on your lawn. Okay, it might be running, but I've seen where the irrigation went way over here and this one went way over here and all the grass in the middle was completely dead because it wasn't covering the area. So I'm going to mention that. So that's what it was. Full inspection, I'm going to check the doors and the windows. Now, this is another thing between a FABI inspector internationally and a Florida inspector. In Florida, if you're just a Florida inspection, I only have to check one window and one outlet per room. So
Wow.
I go in, you can go into the living room and you have 10 living rooms. I just have to open one window, shut it. I don't have to check. The rest cannot work. I can put it, my tester in one outlet and I'm responsible. That's it, one window. So that's what you get when you get a basic code. You never want to build a house to code. You always want to build above code, a 10, always code. So so a 4-point is what a mortgage company basically. So I have a lot of flippers that hire me that they only want a 4-point because they're going to be doing all this remodeling stuff anywhere, or they'll tell me, I already know the hot water is bad, don't worry about it, but they want to make sure when the water runs, there's no leaks. So that's kind of what a 4-point is. We don't care about the cosmetic issues. They're going to get rid of them, whatever they're going to get rid of. So that's the biggest thing. A 4-point is just the major items so that when you move in, the mortgage company's not going to worry about you getting a huge bill that's going to cause you to walk away from the house and not to pay your mortgage.
That's a very good point. People don't understand why mortgage companies require inspections. I mean, like, I know that you can't get a mortgage with, and this goes to the next question, do all inspections include roof and termite? I know that in order for a mortgage to be approved, you have to provide them with a clear roof and a clear termite.
Well, that's a good question. So yes, all inspections, well, of course, not all inspections, whether it be a wind mitigation, a roof certification, a 4-point, or a full home inspection, includes the roof. None of them include the termite. Or in Florida, it's called a WDO. So this is important for them to know, especially if they're coming from another state.
By the way, hold on, let me just stop for a second. WDO, for those of us who are too old and can't get anachronisms, wood destroying organisms.
I was just going to go there.
Okay,
so
I'm sorry.
In Florida, we have only Florida, we have a WDO. It's wood destroying organism because in Florida, they're concerned about wood decaying fungi or mold. The other states don't care about them. The other states, they have a WDI, which is wood destroying insects. So in other states, they're concerned about, carpenter bees and carpenter ants, things that eat the wood. Although carpenter bees are not considered wood destroying insects because they only drill a hole, lay their eggs, and they leave. But they keep doing it and keep doing it, eventually it weakens the wood, but it's not like a fungi or a, it's not gonna keep going and going constantly. It only happens when the carpenter bee leaf is done. So in Florida, we have a WDO, and So it's gonna be mostly subterranean termites, which live in the ground. They have no skin. So they have to have water in order to infest your house. So you have to have water coming down constantly from a leaky pipe. One time I saw in a second story house where there was a leaky pipe in the toilet and the water was running down and the termites had climbed all the way to the second floor. Termites do not normally go to the second floor, and they build little mud tubes. So that's another thing is when you have a home, you want to keep your mulch and your bushes and grass away from the house so that when I or your termite person is walking the house or looking for these little mud tubes so that they can say, oh boy, we got a problem. If you have a bunch of mulch or grass or bushes, guess what they get to do? They get to say, wasn't able to see it. They walk around 6 years later, you lean up against the wall, it goes crunch, crunch, and they say, well, then we're not responsible because the vision was blocked. So it's really important to keep stuff away, to keep the visual available and the moisture away. You want that airflow going around your house so the termites don't want to do there. We also have something in Florida called drywood termites and termites that fly through the air and they just go through your soffits and parts of your roof. And so that's another thing that is different about Florida. So that's why we have a WO in Florida. So the biggest thing I would say about that is I show up as Sunbird home inspection and I do a home inspection. Then I have to go put a little sticker on my car. Basically, it says I work for Ameripros Pest Control. I kind of invisibly put a hat on and says I'm now an employee, a W-2 of this pest control company. And now I spend time doing the termites around the house. So you cannot be a home inspector who does termite. I have two different, I'm self-employed or I'm a W-2 for a home inspection company. Then I put on a different hat and come in. You cannot do both.
Can I ask I want to follow up on a little thing you said. You said it's not good to have bushes right up against the house because they can lead to having more termites because there's not airflow in between the bushes and the house to dry it up. Is that correct?
Right. It also encourages snakes and geckos to live there too.
Oh, well, we certainly have geckos here and not just in insurance. Sorry. Yeah,
now
that's
geckos, now as a pest control person, I will mention that geckos are actually good on the outside of your house because they eat roaches.
Oh.
People don't know that geckos eat roaches.
Oh.
The geckos also eat snails. So if you have snails, you probably have geckos. And if you have snakes, you probably have geckos because snakes eat geckos and geckos eat snails and roaches.
So if I have roaches in my house, I should invite some geckos in for lunch?
Absolutely.
Okay, now I got to go find a gecko. Okay, well, my God, that's fascinating. I mean, first of all, I got to say, every time I talk to Debbie, I learn things. Okay. I learned, I forget what the last one was, but it was like earth shattering. And I've been doing this for 30 years. So you never stop learning.
Now, one more thing about WOs, if ever a pest control company or a home inspector says, I'm going to do a free WDO for you, and you move in, or 6 years later, you move in and they miss something because no money was transacted, you can't sue them. There's no contract without compensation. So be wary of anybody who says, I'm going to give you a free termite inspection. So,
right. So there's no guarantee if there's no money.
There's no money, no content. It's called no compensation, no contract.
Thank you. That's good. That's good to know. And that goes in with real estate too, by the way. No money, talk is cheap, or talk can be expensive if you take it the wrong way.
Right.
Two other questions. I don't want to have this too long, but what are your thoughts on a seller getting an inspection before they list their home?
I think it's super, super smart.
Why do you?
I'm looking at my, all right, first of all, when the seller has the inspection done, okay, when the seller gets this list from the buyer's home inspector, at the buyer, all of a sudden they've got so many days to get these repairs done. So all the good craftsmen are going to be busy. So you're not going to get a good craftsman. You're not going to get the good product. And then the person you get is either going to have low quality, or maybe they're good, but they just started and they don't have a reputation of good. So by having the inspection done before and finding error, you can call around to those that you know and are comfortable with, or have and get a decent price, because they're not going to charge you for emergency repairs. So it's, you just get it done. Say, okay, this is what I want to use. This is what and it can get done, and you get the quality and the price. You're not being gouged.
Well, you can
by
also, to me, it's also a good sales tool from the point of view from a realtor, because you can include the inspection in the addendums on the MLS so people know exactly what they're getting. And the seller is not surprised with all this stuff near the end. They think they're getting X, Y, and Z for the house. And then, yes, it's 1.5% of the purchase price for the repairs, and an additional 1.5% for the WD or WOD or whatever we want to call them. All of these things. And if you're going to sell a house, you'd be surprised how many people look at the soffit that you're going to have to be repaired because it's part of the roof, and they see that and they don't buy the house, because if they see that that's not taken care of, they say to themselves, well, what else did they skimp on?
That's actually my number 3.
Oh, I'm sorry, keep going.
That's okay. But number 1, so you have repair costs. If also, by the way, going back to the money too, if I do a home inspection for the seller and you conclude it on the MLS, that's fine. If the buyer eventually buys the home because of the home inspection I did and something goes wrong, that buyer cannot come after me, because I don't have a contract with the buyer. I only have a contract with the seller. So buyers have to be aware. It's still good to have a home inspection, but just let you know that if there's so number 1 is the repairing the minimum cost. If by number 1, you get better work and lower costs if you do it before. Number 2, everything's on schedule. You're not having to postpone the closing or postpone this, because especially right now, supply and demand, it takes a long time to get products. In October of 2020, a 4x8 piece of plywood was like $7.32. So let's say in October, plywood was $8. By February, it was $34 for one piece of plywood. There were days where they ran out of paint. They did not have base paint to paint anything. They had no paint. So unless you bought. So supply and demand is really affecting your schedule. So by having the pre-inspection agreement before you put a listing, you're not going to have the delays. You're not going to have expectations. And there's just not all this haggling going on. Number 3 is confidence. So when a buyer receives a clean or low inspection report from their agent, the home seems to be loved and maintained, and to continue to stay that condition. Now note, as an inspector, if I go to a home and I see it's not maintained, there's a red flag, and my eyes and my ears go into sick smoke mode, because I'm starting to look for bigger things. So instead of just checking a few outlets, I'm gonna start checking more outlets, or I'm actually might take off the air filter, look into the ductwork to see how things are cleaned in there, because if the filter isn't being changed, if I see the condensate line, which is a little plastic drain line out by the heat pump, if it's clogged, these are all things that I'm seeing this house is not being maintained, because the person lost their spouse, doesn't know how to do it. They don't have the money. They don't know certain things they're supposed to be repairing, doing, or it's an estate sale or foreclosure sale. But when something's not being maintained, it means the whole house. I have to really speak. So by having the pre-inspection agreement done and having everything done and having everything maintained, the person walks in and says, oh, there's hardly anything wrong with it. I can just move right in.
Well, now you can see why I can sit and talk to Debbie for hours.
Yes.
Okay. I
Mhm.
hope that this has been informative to you. As I said, it already is to me. I can't thank my friend Debbie enough for doing this little thing with us, and hopefully we can cover a couple of more topics in a month or so, and then we'll see what goes on. But Debbie, why don't you tell people how they can get a hold of you?
Okay, well, my name, I live right here in the Villages, but I cover the whole Tri-County area. My phone number is 352-272-8159. Let me see if I can just grab this right here. 352-272-8159. I also do home watch services. So I live in the Villages. So I do the Tri-Cane. I've actually gone as far as St. Augustine and Key West to do home inspections for different people that let me stay overnight. But of all the things that I could say about home inspection before I lose the audience is change your air filters. If you can take an air filter and show it to a 6-year-old and say, which one's the new one and which is the old one, and they know it's time to change the air filters. And something very simple is taking 1 gallon of hot water and finding your condensate line inside your air handle, which is usually in your garage, and pouring a gallon of hot water down there every month. And then go outside and make sure clear water is coming. If gunk is coming out, you keep pouring hot water to no gunk come, because when the HVAC technician comes to your house to hopefully do your annual or biannual in service, they don't do that. They don't pour water down your condensate line. Sometimes they should, but most of them don't. But if
I was told a long time ago, and then somebody corrected me, that you should pour a cup of bleach down there. Is that wrong?
That's been changed. So first they said bleach, but it started to eat away at the connections in the pipe.
Okay, makes
So
sense.
then they said vinegar or apple cider vinegar. But what happens is that with the vinegar, because it's an apple product, or it started to create a slime, and the slime would turn into concrete, and then it was a blockage you couldn't undo. So now they're back to a cup of bleach, wait 10 minutes, and then pour the hot water below it to get the bleach out.
Okay, all right. Well, I think that's a good, and most people don't know. And as Debbie said, you can, if you open up where your air handler is, you will see the little white pipe. I guess it's connected to the drain somewhere. I mean,
Right, there's a drain,
it's going
yes.
down.
It's usually right where you take your air filter out, hopefully sometimes. But it looks like it's a white tube that comes up like this, and it has a cap on it, but the cap comes off. So you tug on the cap and then put a phone, you just put hot water down there.
Okay.
And then run outside and see if the water's coming out.
If you learn anything, change your air filters, drop the hot water, and use Debbie for your inspections. Thank you so much, sweetheart. I will put a link to your webpage below, and I hope to see you real soon.
Yes,
Okay?
thank you. See you too. Bye, guys. Enjoy the Villages.
Thanks,
in
Deb.
Tri-County. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye. And we'll see you all in 2 weeks on a Monday. Have a good one.